think I'm ready to jump in.
Alrighty.
Thank goodness you can edit something out if I sound stupid.
Please.
This is a map.
If
I made it.
if I edited out everything that sounded stupid, then it would just be the co-host and not me at all. So just edit out everything I say. Hello, friends, and welcome to a special edition of 10 Points Under, where our New Year's resolution is to always be 10 points under. This is BiggaBullfrog here, and joining me today is a very, very special guest of many skills and talents and titles and abilities and friends, I'm sure, but a very, very little hair though. It's Flash 19.
Oh man, making the bald jokes already.
Hey, you know it. I don't make them enough on the show because I'm not actually seeing you, but you know, you gotta do it at some point.
It's true. So we've talked. I think we've mentioned this before. So I'm a teacher, like Big is a teacher, and there is always a surefire way to get my students to laugh, and that is to make a bald joke. It never gets old. They laugh every single time. But then, I mean, I do teach 9th graders, so
That doesn't take much.
yeah, they're kind of immature. So
It's okay. Not bad.
yeah, just the bald joke makes me feel at home. So thank you.
There you go. You're welcome for that. But yeah, so today we've got, like I said, a very special episode of 10 Points Under. We're bringing back map talks for this one, so I'm really excited for it. I hope Flash is excited for it as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fun. So basically, that means if you haven't seen the first one, we take a game, we play to the game. So this is we are watching ourselves play the game, and basically we're using it as an opportunity to focus specifically on a map. It's positives, it's negatives, you know, what works, what doesn't work, basically how it influences the game, as opposed to, you know, usually you've got a lot of focus as well on figures, even specific players, like if a player has a certain play style, which, you know, we will also be talking about that because you can in no way ignore that during a game of Heroscape, but we're going to be giving priority to map features as much as we can. The first one that we did was really, really fun. I super enjoyed it, and I'm excited to be doing another one.
Yeah, me too. Especially considering this is one of mine.
It is.
Now, interestingly enough, this is actually, this map has been sitting on my hard drive for probably, at least 2 years. If not longer. This is actually one of the first maps that I ever designed.
Wow, nice.
It's been reworked a number of times, but there's a reason I haven't released it. Released it. That sounds like such a prideful way to put it. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, but it's
there's
fine.
a reason.
We forgive you. No,
Released it. Like I'm a music artist or something releasing my works. No. There's a reason I haven't posted it. It just, it's, there's just something.
Just something about it.
Yeah, just something about the way it looks tonight.
That is exactly what I was going to say. I'm glad we're on the same wavelength here.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's I mean, I like it overall, but yeah, maybe as we kind of talk through some points, we can kind of figure out. I can get some help from you about the things that maybe it's missing. That is kind of hard thing about being a map maker, and you could probably relate to this because you've got some maps and you've got some really awesome maps that don't see enough love.
Sure.
You should post a link to your map thread, Bigga.
Post a link to my map. I mean, I can.
Sometimes you design a map and you kind of get so you see it the same way, right? You've got kind of these things. You just got this way of looking at it, and getting some fresh eyes on it can help you see what's wrong with it. That's also why I like to let maps sit for such a long time before I look at them again, to try
Yeah.
and get some fresh eyes on them.
Yeah, no, I guess kind of small sidebar here, but I mean, I think that's a great idea with like not just maps, but a lot of things that you might be working on. And it could be Heroscape, maybe it's like a map, maybe it's a custom or something like that, or it could be like, I mean, I do a lot of writing as well, and sometimes when I'm writing, I'll just like, you've just got to sit back. I think it's a great idea to like take a while and let things just like kind of sit, work on something else, and then come back to it with fresh eyes and see how it is. Or even sometimes just try rebuilding it without looking at the original thing, because I've done that with some maps, and that way you remember what was good and you forget the stuff that was bad, and it sometimes helps. But yeah, so this will be a good map. A Flash 19 original, so we'll be nitpicking his creation. Although, as we all know, his creations are perfect and flawless, and so we won't really need to do much nitpicking here,
Not
which
true.
is. Yeah, no. It will be good to be able to get some insight into the mind behind Flash 19's map making process, because if you don't know, Flash 19 is a pretty darn awesome map maker. Check out his maps. They are sick, and the top maker of the map maker of the Heroscapers community currently. So
Well,
definitely
thanks.
check him out. Oh, please, they're not mine words. I was quoting somebody else. I do agree with them. I agree, but they were somebody else's words.
Okay. Well, thank you, other person, whoever's words those were. My wife. Did my wife send those to you?
She sent me notes, yes.
Oh man, I'll have to talk to her about that.
Yeah, so today, on as far as the army lineup goes, we did make armies that we were hoping to be able to test the map with, as well as hopefully be fairly balanced against each other. We'll see how that goes, but basically over here on the left, I am running Nilfheim, 2 squads of Greenscales, I mean, of course, 1 squad of Krav Maga, because you can only ever have 1 squad of Krav Maga, but I've got the Krav Maga as well as Eldgrim, the Viking champion. This spawning mainly from a concern that Flash brought up of the 2 hill approach here. So you've got like the 2 different hills, and especially these 4 hex spaces. Let me get out my little drawing tool. So you've got these 4 hex hills here. Nilfheim with 6 move, and this is common for any dragon with 6 move or a lot of faster flying figures with range. But I'm like, Nilfheim is a notorious map breaker, and it's because he could be able to hop from hill to hill, and basically as Flash tries to develop towards one hill, I can potentially jump to another and just be like, okay, wasted your development, now I'm over here and I'm still going to be attacking you with range. So that's why we chose Nilfheim. The Krav Maga just kind of came in as like a backup for that army that kind of complements it, but also is not Raylan. Was the main reasoning there.
Yeah, Bigga did not want to play Raylan.
Not really. I did Raylan last time.
Oh yeah, that's right, you did.
Yeah, but also like if I'm hopping from hill to hill, I can play Raylan, but I don't know, I just didn't want the luggage or whatever. But also to kind of keep it at a lower level. Not that Krav are much of a lower level than Raylan, but I think Krav Nilf is a little bit lower than Raylan Nilf. But
yeah, probably
a bit. And then over on the other side, we've got Flash playing 3 squads of Horned Skull Brutes, which are just awesome figures. I love the Horned Skull Brutes, one of my favorite squads in the game. Actually, potentially my favorite card in the game. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Potentially, I'd have to think about it. But anyway. Yeah. And then also has Sergeant Drake Alexander version 2. This is Swarm of the Marrows Sergeant Drake, so a pretty good card. And then the Marrow Warriors. So mostly melee. Again, we're looking for the ability for melee to chase Nilfheim. See if it's see if the map is broken in that way. Also like melee development. See how that's going. that kind of stuff. He's got a big hitter with Sergeant Drake. He's got a little bit of utility there, as well as Marl Warriors, and so there's stuff that he can do. But so you've got the primary focus on the melee, but then also other things that he can do, so that we can also look at like potential end game range versus melee potentially situations, or range versus range situations. Yeah, yeah. That's I don't know. That's what I have to say. But anything I missed there?
No, that was awesome. I will say I mean, you pointed out this kind of has the two hills type feel to it. Obviously, I mean, I tried to counteract that with the placement of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every single one of those 4 hex spaces, at least the ones that you have highlighted, there are quite a few road spaces adjacent to all of them. As far as the 4 hex, the single 4 hex space that's out by the glyph, ideally I had wanted to try and get a road tile to go out that way. I think I originally had a road tile actually where the glyphs are, and then the glyphs were pushed out to the edge. But then I felt like it kind of slowed down that edge just a little bit too much. And I like having on a map. I really like having some level 2 kind of quick, just like quick access through the map. Even if it's on the outside, I think it's kind of deceptive because it's on the outside how fast that outside edge can be.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to take that outside edge because of the level 2. And so I didn't want to push the glyph all the way to the edge, because obviously when you step on a glyph, you have to stop your movement. So yeah. But as far as that single hex level 4, I felt like line of sight blockers were placed such that with the tree and then with the walls, that it would be fairly straightforward to hide behind a line of sight blocker to threaten that level 4 position.
Right. Yeah, it's really only shooting like straight out on either side.
Right. Mm-hmm.
For the most part. So yeah, no, I agree there. I don't think it's a terrible thing to have that level 4 right there. I think it's good. So with all that in mind, we can go ahead and jump into the game.
Cool.
All right, so Flash takes initiative, which I'm happy to see. And so I guess with this early game, so you've got melee. We gave you the army for the second time in the row. That is taking on the I mean, like, so both times that we've done this so far, I've played the army that's supposed to break the map. So as the melee player, what are you thinking as far as like development goes, and how are you using the map for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm looking to take advantage of those road tiles that are going to give me a movement boost. I especially like this the wall that where the wall pieces are adjacent to each other is kind of like a good staging ground.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the hex that I've placed, depending on what side your opponent goes to, I mean, that wall right there that Sergeant Drake is hiding behind is a really good blocker for at least 2 of those level 4 spaces down in the south. So yeah, you'll notice throughout the game that I kind of that I'll try to take advantage of those 2 line of sight blockers in kind of staging the units.
Yeah, I do like that about this map, and I think that's a good strength that this map has, where it's got you've got the good line of sight blockers, and you've also got like some road back that is also covered by the line of sight blockers, so you can develop onto road and then just like boost your way out. If you're on this like back hex, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can hit up to here with a 5 move figure from that back hex. Same thing over here. If you're here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you can get clear up to here. So that road really helps a lot.
Yeah, and I've been wondering if the road is a little bit more accessible in the north of the start zone than the south. Um, yeah, I because that's something really important too. I mean, as far as developing out of a start zone, and I feel like we talked about that a bit in our last video.
Hmm.
I mean, if if there's an excess of height or an excess even of road on one side of the start zone, that's going to cause your army to pull one direction. That's going to be especially problematic with a setup where you've kind of got two hills. And I think that's probably what aggravates the two hill problem the most, the your hill and my hill, is if the map pulls to one side for development out of the start zone.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree there, and I think that's, I mean, I think that's something I brought up to you before we started playing this game as well. Was, and I don't, mild spoilers, but I don't think we saw it really come into play. Probably because we were working with a lower number of figures and smaller armies.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if this was like knights versus fourth mass, we'd definitely see which way the armies were pulling. But like it does, I think I kind of agree there. It does seem a bit easier to develop, up this way, and then up through here, as opposed to like taking
Yeah.
figures through here and then also like through and up around here. Definitely seems like this top side has an easier flow to it.
Mhm.
Although whether that is like, um, you know, enough to be like super detrimental or not, I'm not certain with on this
Yeah.
map. I'll say because again we didn't really see it much in this game, so I'm not certain how much that would come into play in another game.
Yeah. Now I will say one of the and I'd like to say I did this conscientiously. Got to think about how to pronounce that word.
It's a
But you
good word.
notice something you really got to be careful. Oh yeah, there's the first. Gotta sorry, got to avoid spoilers. Um, but if you notice that the spot between the tree and the wall, that level 3 rock,
Here?
I think, yeah, right there. I think you really need to be careful with spaces like that on a map, um, where there's a height elevation, um, or a change in elevation at a spot where there's only a single hex path through.
So like
Um,
a choke point and a height change at the same
yeah,
time.
exactly. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. A change in elevation at a choke point. Um, yeah, those can be huge for breaking a map.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what you said that made me want to talk about that, but
I'll take it. I'll take it. And interestingly, you also kind of, I don't know. Let's see. What do you think actually from your perspective? Because you kind of have that here as well. In this case, the height
right.
change. This is going. So this one's the lower one going up onto higher ground.
Yeah.
Is that also something you're looking out for when you're making or evaluating a map?
Yeah, I didn't feel like that was so much of a problem because of the abundance of road on this map. And I mean, you've got the two hex lanes
Mm-hmm.
coming through the middle.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I wasn't too worried about those positions right there.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, that top one by the tree, if you've got a figure plugging that gap right there, I mean, it's just as easy to send somebody on road and send him over and around behind the guy, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if those are like kind of your main avenues that you're trying to travel through, it can be a big problem. But used in small doses, um, yeah, I think it can be okay. So, yeah, you see me debating here, bringing that that brood up to take the attack on Nilfheim, which I will. I'm scared of
Yeah, you will.
Bigga when he plays Nilfheim, and any chance I can get to get an attack on him, I usually take it.
I really don't play Nilfheim that much. This, oddly enough.
I feel like maybe I've just played you every time you played Nilfheim.
I think
then.
you have. I think you literally have played me every time I've played Nilfheim in an event, which has not been often. Maybe like maybe twice.
Yeah, I've definitely played you twice with you running Nilfheim in a Utah tourney.
Yeah. Boom! 4 skulls.
Yeah, that brute is crispy fried. Though obviously I was expecting that to happen, but and yeah, maybe that wasn't the right call. And honestly, you're gonna see some mistakes from me. You're gonna see perfect execution from Bigga.
No, you're not.
But, yeah, obviously that's not kind of our focus, but we'll probably point those out as they come up.
We're talking about the map to ignore the mistakes that we made gameplay wise.
Yeah.
So whenever we're talking about the map, it's because we're ignoring something that's going on in the game.
There you go. Now, something I was actually counting out right here is trying to see if I could run a brute around the south side of the big tree in the middle to try and get to Nilfheim.
Mm-hmm.
Around that, but didn't quite have enough movement to get there.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that I was also looking out for.
Yeah, that's probably one of my big concerns with this map right now is those 2 lanes. I feel like those 2 lanes with the road coming in are kind of easy to shut down right now.
Okay.
I like having the big tree in the middle. Maybe it's just kind of for aesthetics, but I don't know. I go a little crazy with line of sight blockers probably. Well, no, probably. I probably include line of sight blockers too much. But I like them. I like the depth of strategy that they add. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see if that tree was taken out, what that would do to the map.
Yeah, I was thinking about that at one point actually during the game. I don't remember at what point or why exactly. Although I think ultimately I do like it. I can see what you're saying though about the lanes getting shut down pretty easily.
Yeah. I feel like I left the tree actually to try and prevent a little bit of the your hill, my hill. Now let's just shoot each other from across the valley.
Right. Yeah, and that it is nice for that. And it can also, well, I don't know. I forget how well the tree can actually block stuff, but like you could put a couple figures like on the road behind the tree if you've got like a your hill, my hill situation going on and you need to go across. You can put figures here to hide from any figures on the level 4 height as you prepare to attack across. But unfortunately, the tree isn't perfect at that. Like, this, they will still get some attacks in, but it's a good start.
Right. Yeah, so it actually might be better. And I don't usually do this. Run walls too deep, so they're right next to each other, but run 2 layers of walls.
Yeah, that'd be a really good line of sight blocker if you did that. It's not as pretty, unfortunately.
Right, it's not, and the walls cramp up those spots, those road tiles.
They do, yeah.
That's something else you've really got to be careful of, especially if you're like me and you use a lot of line of sight blockers. Placing figures like Nilfheim, there are a couple I think that are maybe even a little bit trickier to place than Nilfheim coming up, or that have just been released recently. Like, how do you pronounce that big blue monster's name? Marituk?
Marituk? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Tucker.
Mary Tucker. Dude, I'm totally going to call her that from now on. Mary Tucker. Oh, and Yeah, so Nilfheim, Nilfheim's not taken level 4 height on level 3, but Nilfheim with that special attack doesn't doesn't need level 4.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, he's fine. And that was like, I mean, I was staying off of that level 4 to keep, because you were able to, and this does again play into like the map features with this staging area that you've got right here. You can pretty well come in to engage figures on level 4 if you need to. You can easily
Yeah,
swing around and up and in there, and so because of that, I'm like, I'm not going to be putting Nilfheim on level 4 because that means that I need to have at least 3 green scales to block this off completely, and I wanted to develop up more green scales instead.
right.
Also, like, again, like you said with the special attack, I'm not getting height anyway, so it's nicer to keep Nilfheim on level 3 right here, and then put green scales on level 4 where you're forced to attack up.
Yeah.
But
Now,
yeah.
now maybe something to point out. I mean, we kind of noticed the. I think it's really important, and I don't know if there's a great resource out there, but I think it's really important to balance your glyphs out when you have a map. Now, Bigga and I, we kind of manufactured some parts of this, I guess, in that
Mm-hmm.
we intentionally chose a high powered glyph or a better glyph on one side of the map and a less desirable glyph on the other side of the map. So I mean, you notice that the action is totally being drawn that way towards that high powered Valda glyph, um, which is allowing you to reinforce your green scales really easily with 8 move green scales.
Mm-hmm. Pretty nice. But yeah, we were again, yeah, that's something where like, especially when playtesting, we'll kind of choose glyphs that might tip the scales one way or another just to in this case it was kind of to see if development was hurt one way or another, but um to bring it back to that earlier thing to see if it was like would hurt one army or the other worse by having a glyph on one side than the other. But in
Yeah,
this case, Nilfheim flies. So, and with 8
right.
move, green scales are speedy. So I was able to reinforce this side no matter what. So that might have been somewhere where we weren't quite. Well, I mean, I suggested Valda there, and I'll be honest, it probably wasn't the best choice to test the glyph placement there. I should have gone for something more like, I don't like Wannock or even, I don't know, initiative. I'm a fan of initiative. I know a lot of people aren't fans of initiative, but
I actually really like initiative. I like the strategy strategy behind it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like
I need
holding
to.
initiative every turn, but I I like what it brings to the game.
Yeah. So maybe just a note because somebody is probably observing if they're paying attention to what's going on in the with the order markers and the movement. This is probably my no, this is my biggest mistake of the game, I think, and you can confirm that or not. But just a quick note on strategy, I guess, is I really committed hard in round 2 onto the Horn Skull Brutes, which um, isn't really turning out so good for me so far.
Yeah, not
Um,
turning out so well for you, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah, it would have been a much better call to switch over to Mara Warriors and try and threaten that position you've established, taking some shots up at Green Scales or Nilf to try and force you to move just a little bit because you had a good position set up right there. But I went all in on Horn Skull Brutes. I think what was going through my mind, and this is kind of what I go through when I'm playtesting maps, is seeing, can melee overtake this hill? I mean, that's something that I look for in
Mm-hmm.
um, in playtesting maps, does melee have a chance, or is range or the screen, are they just going to be able to hold this hill too well? So that's part of what I was thinking going in, but definitely a strategic mistake there when I've got range that I can bring in to take pot shots at Nilfheim or Greenscales.
Yeah, and I'll
to
be
try and
honest, that's
disrupt that.
yeah, sorry. I'm like that's a mistake that I make often as like when I'm playtesting things, because that is something that you're like trying to, and I think it kind of comes down to like the like manufacturing certain parts of the game, I guess, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Uh-huh.
can melee take this hill? Can is melee okay in this situation? And you kind of maybe get a little short-sighted at times, and you think back and you're like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best choice overall. Anyway,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, because I've had games where I've been playtesting and I'll look back on it and I'm like, I didn't really make good decisions during that game, so I don't.
Except I do like this decision.
This was a very good decision. I spend a lot of time that previous turn making sure that he wouldn't be able to attack Nilfheim or a green scale on even ground, and then he just goes straight for the crab, and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that's how this game will go then.
Oh man. Now I think it is worth pointing out, if you've been paying attention to the die rolls, Bigga has not rolled less than 3 skulls attacking with Nilfheim with Ishard.
Yeah, that was my primary strategy for the game, was to not go under 3 skulls. It's a tricky strategy to pull off, but if you can get the build order correct, then it can really pay off in the long term.
Yeah, so it's never productive to blame the dice. But it's
but also I think it's good to recognize when dice are putting you on the back. But yeah, no,
it's important to recognize when they're making it harder for you than it would be under normal circumstances.
Exactly, and especially with playtesting. I've killed a Hornskull Brew on every attack that I've made, and in this case it is, let's see, we're down to 4 Hornskull Brutes. So I've killed 5 Hornskull Brutes without really having to work for it, really. I've just been sitting back, and I think it's fair to say that in a more regular game, Flash should have, maybe 2 more Hornskull Brutes right now, because I should still be killing some, but maybe not as many as I have killed. And I think it's fine to say that he should have a couple more Hornskull Brutes. If he's got a couple more, maybe he can push this hill a little bit better. Maybe I think just keeping that open mind on how that changes the game is also important with playtesting. Basically, with playtesting, you need to be able to consider everything at the anything and everything at the same time. So good luck with that. But yeah, because it does change the game. Small rolls, even one figure dying, especially when we made smaller armies here, where one figure dying does really change the game for both of us. And in this case, Flash has had 5 figures die. I've only had 1 figure die at this, or sorry, 2, 1 green scale, 1 Krav. So it's definitely going my way, but I think it's a good thing to be able to recognize how things can be different very easily.
Yeah. And kind of coming back to something you said, I do think it's important to look at, is there a spot on the map where, if an opponent gets entrenched there, if they're able to set up there, you have no prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for that reason, well, yeah. Anyway, manufacturing it a little bit isn't so bad in playtesting if you're trying to look at those specific things, those specific circumstances. Because at the end of the game, you don't want somebody walking away from a map being like, I lost the game because once my opponent set up shop there, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get there. I couldn't threaten the position. There's nothing I could do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you're playing against Nilfheim, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, when Nilfheim is, most of the time rolling 3 skulls on
Yeah, that was
attack.
your first 1 skull attack,
Yeah,
right?
and you still blinked, so
And I still blanked.
yeah, and yeah, I do think that's a good point to bring up and something good to be conscious about, because like, when Nilfheim's back here and you've got green scales around him, is that an impregnable location? You can also like, broaden that to say like, if Q9 is here and there are rats up here, is that impregnable? Or if there's just a bunch of fourth mass up here or something like that, whatever your situation is that impossible to take that location? And with like, maybe you've got a bunch of Knights of Weston or whatever, can they make it up into there? And like we've said before, you've still got these staging locations, you've got road that can lead you up into there. So I think there are avenues to success there.
Yeah.
And those avenues include your opponent not rolling 3 skulls every time they attack. But but yeah, I mean, I think that's an excellent point to bring up, where you've got to, are you able to come up here and attack? Are you able to still make attacks? And maybe that's not even just this, like these 7 hexes. Maybe your opponent pushes out to here a little bit. Maybe they're more reserved and they're back here. Like games, each game is different, and that's part of the awesome thing about Heroscape. And that's why you also need to be able to like, kind of manufacture those outside possibilities and be like, okay, if this is a little bit different, take one game and be like, okay, if things change a little bit differently, how does that affect the map? Is it still working out?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see, was that an initiative switch right there?
It was an initiative switch, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember debating if I wanted to take a risk and put an order marker on Horn Skull Brutes, but with how they were doing for me, I wisely chose against that.
Lost your faith in them.
Which is sad, because they're such a cool unit. They can do such cool things.
Yeah, 100%. They really can. They just weren't. And I don't think it's even that they weren't themselves doing that great this game. It's just that Nilfheim was doing really great this game.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah, they just didn't have a chance to show you what they were made of, because each attack went through. JK, that attack actually doesn't go through.
Oh, that was the one attack.
Yeah, that was like the one Nilfheim
attack I blocked.
Yeah.
That Horn Skull Brute was the MVP of the game right there.
MVP right here. This one dies though. I'm spoiling too much. I shouldn't spoil so much. I just want to feel smart, that's all.
Yep, he died.
But this was a good one to keep alive, because that that makes it a little bit more choky down here as far as my attack routes go. I do still have Valda though, so it's I'm still able to basically do what I want.
Right. And my beloved Mara Warriors, order marker 1 on them.
Yeah.
My wife teases me for how often I play them. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say they do seem like a very flash unit to play.
I probably shouldn't admit this, but in some of my maps, I'm like, I want a spot for Mara Warriors to clone.
Like in this map, right here and here?
Maybe.
Maybe. For those of you watching the chat box right now, my computer was having a weird lag at the time. There we go. Okay, so he did put the Mara Warriors into the water and then clone them, and that's where those rolls came from. Because that is like, that's just makes sense to do. I don't know why my computer had that weird lag with the figures and not with the chat box, but it just happened. It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Wasn't that, man, it was like I designed this map and knowing that I would need to respawn 2 Mara warriors and that it would work perfectly for me.
It is perfect because, as we also mentioned during the game, Mara warriors are only height 4, so that means when they're in this water and with the battlements around them, they can't be engaged from these level 2 spaces.
That's right.
I sense a bias.
That's right. Oh man, I actually didn't do that one. I just added the battlements there because they look cool.
Oh, okay.
Which I will totally admit. Oh, ouch. Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah, nice beefy hit on Sergeant Drake.
Big hit on Drake. And then those green scales just swarming in.
Yeah, this was Flash and I were talking about it after the game. This is probably the part of the game where Valda mattered the most because green scales and Nilfheim are already pretty fast. The Valda definitely helped the green scales get into the action faster and to help screen. But right here was where I personally felt it was pulling off the best moves, where I could 8 move Nilfheim here to make a melee attack, 8 move a green scale around to get the complete surround on Sergeant Drake.
Yeah. Oh, and look at that big oof. I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Big oof with Drake. 1 skull out of 6.
That hurt. I'll be honest.
I was hoping. I was so hoping. I was like, it's possible to take Nilf out in 1 hit, right? It's possible.
It's completely possible.
I believe. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Instead, Sergeant Drake goes down, unfortunately. But yeah, and then I've got all of these Mara warriors I have to go down on level 1 to engage.
Yeah, come on. Why would you want to go down to level 1? And then at this part, I mean, Bigga just throws salt in the wound.
You know it. Yeah. I mean, I do what I can.
Just salt. Pink Himalayan salt.
Yep, I throw as much
White
salt
tables.
as I can by rolling 1 skull and making you
all
blink.
the salts. just like that shreds 3 of my Mara warriors. Even though I cheated and put a spot on my map where I could clone them so perfectly.
Got 1 Mara warrior left. The MVP of the game. Actually, MVP was that word skull brute. The second MVP, runner-up MVP of the
game. Yeah. And at this point, I'm just like, yeah, forget it. We're not cloning. We are going to die in a heap of non-glory. And attack up with my 1 skull.
Yeah.
But hey,
it worked. It worked.
It worked.
So there's hope. This Mara warrior is going to carry the game. Don't call it the runner-up MVP for nothing.
And what a fitting end. Just keeled over and die. Anyway, well, after Big and I played, we were talking about this is kind of an interesting map because I don't know. This is why you play multiple games on maps because I mean, if you play 1 game on a map, and then based on that game, call it good. Yeah, that's you want to run a few different games on it, different armies to try and get a feel for how it plays. Obviously, that was a pretty one-sided showing, and I made some mistakes that made it worse. But at the end of the day, you know, Nilfheim's going to do his Nilfheim thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like basically the takeaway of this game is that the best offense is a good offense, and that rolling bunches of skulls and having your opponent roll very few shields is optimal.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But yeah, no, I mean, like I know you probably didn't enjoy the game a ton.
I enjoyed being with you, Bigga.
Okay, good. Yeah, no, I definitely had a good time. I was hurting for you as well. You do have those games where it's just like
That's true.
I don't think I should be winning right now, but at least
Yeah,
not by
or those
this
games where
much.
just like you're destroying them so badly that just like yeah, you feel bad for them.
Yeah, and those are always tough on both sides. But
Yeah,
more
for
for
sure.
you. I won't pretend to be like I won't pretend to 100% understand you and your pain.
Oh, I'm sure you've probably been on. Well, no, you've never been on the receiving end of a beatdown like that before.
Oh, please, never.
Never.
Me? No,
Ever,
no
ever.
way. Never, ever, ever, never. But yeah, no, I did. I
Well,
did enjoy playing on this map though. I thought it was a fun map. It was a good time.
yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the map. I guess relatively. Looking over it, I definitely see. I see some tweaks that I want to make, and so maybe we just kind of load up maybe the good things versus the bad. I don't know if you have one you want to start with,
Y-
and then maybe I'll get suggested changes that I've thought of, and then maybe any suggested changes that you've thought of to make it
yeah.
better.
So, let's see. So good things. I think it. Okay. So first thing is like I think it looks really good. And that's something that is a,
Well,
is a
thanks.
flesh 19 strength in general, but
That's important to me.
yeah. But like like Flash sent me a bunch of maps that he's been working on my way, and like this one just really caught my eye as far as just like looking good. That said, I am kind of a sucker for road maps, so and I'll admit my bias there. But it's a good looking map. It feels really good. It's no, it's just like from like if you're going off of initial impressions, you've got line of sight blockers, but it also looks like there's good flow to it, and so I think it does feel like a really good map and one that I'd play on a lot probably. Um, and you've got a lot of good stuff going on as far as like line of sight blockers go. I think line of sight blockers and the road are the two big strengths of the map because and we've talked
Yeah,
about it before, but you've got spots where you can start developing your figures. You've got this like kind of staging area that you can work onto. You've got road there that you can use to boost your figures into the battle. You've got the level 4 height, but that's and it does have, I will say, like it's got some shooting lanes here with level 4, but it's not like across the map like from level 4 to level 4 as much, and it's
yeah,
also the shooting lanes are counterbalanced by the amount of road on the map and how easy it is to access the level 4. So it's not as big of a deal as it would be if like there was not any road by them, because you can put figures here and jump onto the jump onto the level 3 road and attack up onto level 4 and engage figures and playing around it that way. So um, I do
yeah.
like it. It feels like a very interactive map. So I do like that aspect of it.
Cool, cool. Yeah, as far as what I like about the map, yeah, I really like the aesthetic of it. I love I love the castle and the battlements. I just think they look so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I love putting battlements um, in just really cool looking, but also strategic places. I feel like it just adds just a nice little flavor. Um, yeah, I like the road and the positioning of the road around the uh, the level 4, as you mentioned. I do like that tree in the middle and what it
Mm-hmm.
adds as far as blocking a little bit side to side. I like that it. I don't think it feels really clunky and slow
Yeah.
to play across. Now, obviously, when you have Valda on there, right, and
Yeah, that
an eight
speeds
move
things up.
flying nil, right, that speeds things up quite a bit. But even without that, I think movement across it flows pretty well.
Hmm.
As far as the negatives, and maybe this is kind of getting into some nitpick territory, maybe some things that I want to look at more in the future. Is I wanted to let's see these wall spaces down on the left side coming out of the start zone. Yeah, we're with the little kind of window, through the middle. I left that, or I made that to try and I wondered if it would make the map more interesting to kind of have that little window there. I'm wondering if it would just be better as far as line of sight blocking to just scoot those together.
Ah, okay.
Um,
It's like bring this one in,
Probably,
the bottom one in, or the top one down.
yeah, yeah, most likely bringing the bottom one in.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
becomes
that would
this.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I feel like it feels a little bit more boring to me, but then they're probably doing their job more effectively as line of sight blockers. Um,
And that makes sense because like as far as like the level 4 height goes, or I mean the height up here in general, but if you're looking especially at like these strong points, going
yeah,
this way it is blocked by those two. This way it can shoot fairly cleanly into developing figures over here, so that does make sense
yep,
to me.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, let's see. Looking at those, and some of these are nitpicks, but these are things that honestly I feel like the nitpicks matter.
Hmm.
And when I go through a map, I mean, every hex matters as a
Yeah.
map builder. And if like you have not convinced yourself of that, and you're building maps, sorry, this is where I get on my soapbox. I guess I was not planning to.
I like it. I like it.
Like you've got to realize that every single hex matters. Now it doesn't mean that like every hex has to be in the perfect spot.
Right.
That's not what I'm trying to say. But yeah, you gotta be you can't just throw hexes in random spots just for kicks and giggles. But on the level 4, I'm wondering if the let's see how to describe which one it is. The level 4 hex that's closest to the glyph, but that's part of the group of 3.
Isn't?
Y
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
see.
that one right there. I'm wondering if dropping that hex right there would help just a little bit in being able to threaten that position that Nilfheim took.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
because yeah, if you get rid of that single hex right there, I think it makes it easier to threaten to come in and threaten from that edge so that that kind of thing isn't happening, where you've got Nilfheim and then, I mean, you've just got your screen all loaded up on that. Because obviously, most figures, if they come around on the road, they're going to have to engage those level 4, all those level 4 pieces right there.
Right. Yeah.
And then, I mean, if they wanted to pivot around, I mean, you might be risking a disengage. So I don't know, either adjusting that 4 hex height or seeing if I can rework it. I would need to double check if I can. But the level 3 rock that's not next to the tree, but the one it's right next to the 2 hex walls. Yes, that one right there. If I could make that one a road hex as well, so that a unit could bypass the level 4 hex with the battlements attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
If that would help just a little bit to try and potentially get around that screen just a little bit. Um, but I mean, while I obviously got destroyed this game, I mean, this does give me something valuable to look at in that. I mean, that position was powerful.
Right. Yeah.
Now, granted, you probably statistically shouldn't have been able to hold it as well as you did. But even then, I mean, I'm going to look at it. Is there something I can take still, even though, yeah, you could blame the dice? Is there something I could still take from it to smooth that out and to make that matchup just a little bit more favorable there?
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, like, it just in general, I think that's a perfect like viewpoint to have, to where, like, like you said, I probably don't have a position that strong every game, but I'm like, especially because if green scales are already a fast build. If we were going like full cheese, I could have Raylan in here as well.
Yeah.
And just to jump in here, I just actually realized this level 4 is 6 spaces away from the start zone, so I could have Raylan here, Nilf where I had him, green scales, and then that only takes like, I don't know, 2 turns for me to have a good position. 3 turns, because you got Raylan too. 3 turns to have enough figures there to have it be in a strong position. 4 turns to be at like a super strong position, and that's not very much time at all.
So yeah, especially bringing up that level 4, Raylan she can hit that turn 1. And so with something like that, I'd look at, well, how quickly could you get, and exactly what you're saying, like how quickly could you establish a really strong position there? How fast could you get figures there to get a screen? Could Raylan be threatened really easily? And actually, that's probably a big weakness on this map that would need to be looked at, or that I'd need to do some really decent playtesting to see if it would be a problem. Because you've got a glyph there, that stops movement, right? But if you've got a powerful glyph there, I mean, that only adds to it if you've got Raylan and a strong screen. But how quickly can you get opposing units there to try and threaten that seeming Raylan perch right there?
Right. Yeah. And like, yeah, especially for the opposing units, like if you're thinking like the other player, if you're going full cheese, if the other player is like Knights of Western or something like that. Well, Knights of Western like to slow roll a ton, so they probably don't even start attacking for a couple of rounds. But like sure. if they had something and they're like, they need to disrupt that or something like that. Maybe something a little bit more offensive or something like that. But how quickly can they contest that? Do they have a chance to contest that, or is Nilfheim just going to come up here with green scales and be like, yeah, it's my place now. Back off.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, that would those are probably my biggest nitpicks. That level 4 needs to be probably reworked a little bit. But those are probably the biggest things that I'm seeing right now. But I'd love to hear any other thoughts you have about suggestions for improvement, in any way.
Let's see. So I think probably the biggest thing that stands out to me currently, as far as the map as a whole goes, is this development from the from the start zone left going down this way. I developed up that way in this game, but that was largely because I had Nilfheim up here. Also, like, so we talked about like how Nilfheim could jump from side to side, and that's kind of what I was planning on doing. But then Sergeant Drake was down here, so I never actually jumped from side to side. But having that faster army, I was able to develop up there fairly quickly, especially with Valda. But I do worry that in like a more standard, if you're like Knights of Western or something like that, or whatever walking, average moved figures go, even fourth master or whatever. I feel like, and we didn't get to see it in this map, but I do feel like it's gonna pull up this way because there's better line of sight blockers. It's easier to just get a bunch of figures up over here, and then to like even the going up onto level 3, this is feels easier to get up onto than this does. because this is a
Yeah.
very narrow row of level 3 right there.
Sure.
I do think that moving this column up to here would help, but I mean, and again, we didn't really see it in this game, so I can't speak with absolute certainty. But and it pains me to say this because I know that you like your Morrow Warrior rebirth spots, but I'm like, I think even if like this place was level 2 and you just kind of like put the battlements on the edge of it, because I do like the battlements, but I think even if you had like that one hex there, that would give a
Yeah.
lot more incentive to be like, okay, let's also pot up over here, or like, if you've got an enemy over here, then I can establish figures, because that gives you, especially with that column right there, that gives you again 4 hexes here, 4 hexes up here, so you've kind of got a similar thing on both sides where you can develop it into an attacking position.
Yeah.
And that's my main concern as is. That's also, though, largely because just looking at how things start right outside of the start zone is like one of my biggest, I don't know, areas for nitpick / concern in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, I'm really grateful for that perspective, because honestly, that was something I didn't really think about um, until talking with you about a map or getting your feedback on a map or something. So yeah, I'd never really thought about that before, but yeah, that perspective that I feel like I've kind of adopted from you of development out of a start zone, I think it's huge, and it's made a big difference, I think, for me as I've tried to apply it. Actually, I really like those suggestions. I think it's a great suggestion, especially paired with bringing those two walls together.
they were meant to be. I
I
mean, you got to bring them together.
Yeah, bring them together. Yeah, it probably feels a little bit more boring, but honestly, and a lot of people complain about tournament maps, and you know what? Every now and then I get really bored of tournament maps too, and I just like, "Ah, I want a crazy map," and so I just go to town and build something totally ridiculous, right? But
Right.
but tournament maps, I mean, you can't have somebody, and you would know this far better than me, because you actually run the tournaments at Utah, or at least you're one of the main guys that does. I mean, you can't have somebody walking away from a tournament that's just like, I lost because that map was terrible.
Oh yeah, no, and I've had a few times where I've been like, maybe where I'll look at a map and I don't have like Gen Con level standards for my maps, but sometimes even then I'll be like, this isn't something that I'd usually run as far as the map goes, but what the heck, we'll just do it once, we'll try it out, it looks fun, and
Yeah.
then almost invariably there is somebody on there who brings up, like whatever concern I had, whatever like remote concern that I had, that I'm like, this won't come up. It comes up, and they're like, I just couldn't do anything on this map because of this, and I'm like, yeah, I feel bad
Yeah,
about that
and you
now.
just feel
And
for them, and you're like,
it's a terrible
yeah, I
feeling as
know.
a, like when you're running a tourney, you're like, I just want everybody to come and have fun. And then when somebody's, when that happens, I mean, like, it's happened to me, I get salty about it, and
Yeah,
when it happens to somebody else, it's not a great feeling.
yeah, yep, most definitely.
But
So,
I was
yeah,
also wondering, and this is getting a little bit further afield as far as like the hypothetical changes go, but like if you bring these two
yeah,
walls
sure.
together here, I wonder if you could put like, I don't know if you could like put another column right here to kind of block off this level 4. Kind of
Mhm,
like, again, mirroring what this tree has on this side. Um,
sure.
or maybe even bring that tree over here and put a column there. I don't know, whatever makes it look
Yeah,
pretty. But and again, that's line of sight blockers are really not my. I can tell when they're being used well, but I'll be honest, I'm not the best as far as like implementing them goes, and that's an area where I routinely struggle. So
yeah,
I think you'd have a better eye for that than I do. But
yeah. That's definitely something to think about. That's, I think, another just a fun aspect of map building. It's like with my maps, I get so many different drafts of them because I mean, you get an idea, you just throw it on there and see how it looks. Just try it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that that would apply so so well to like other things in Heroscape, right? Like designing units or anything. Let's just throw quadruple attack onto this
Yeah,
guy.
quadruple
Just throw
attack, and let's have it bond with knights. Why not?
yeah, just because it sounds cool. But with a map, right? Especially with Virtual Scape, I love Virtual Scape, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
throw it on there, take a look at it, study it, theoryscape it. Think about these units that and how these units move, like your Nilfheims and the Krav and Rats and Raylin. Q9, those are probably the biggest ones. I mean, understandably, they're the most high powered units in the game, right?
Right.
Those are the ones that have the biggest influence over a map. And honestly, when I'm creating maps, I'm constantly kind of running through little scenarios like, hey, if a Krav is here, where can that Krav get to? Where can he shoot? What's the range? What's going to be able to threaten that kind of ideal position that the Krav has? Where's Nilfheim going to go? Where's Raylan going to go? What are going to be kind of their ideal positions? And you need to know those, and you need to kind of plan for them, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. I mean, making maps is what really got me into Heroscape, and
Yeah, me too.
yeah, it's, I mean, like it's super fun. Um, big appeal to me, especially when I grew up with Legos. So it's awesome to
Yeah.
have something that I can build and then also play on, which is sweet. But
Yeah.
I mean, like when I first discovered Heroscapers, not when I first discovered it, but like fairly early on in my like air quotes serious map making career, because it was still not serious at all. I was a bad map maker when I was a teen. I can say that openly. Got a lot of bad maps from that era, but I did run a bunch of playtests with like the cheese armies like knights and fourth and um Rats Ring and Range, all that good stuff, and I was
Yeah.
awful at it. I was not playing super well. I thought I was at the time, but I was not. It was a cringe time in my Heroscape career. I will say that. But just running that and getting that repetition and getting those like tendencies of those armies in, because even if I wasn't playing it well, I was like getting to understand how the armies work better, and so
Yeah.
like it still helped a lot, and so that has helped me, like you said, it helps a lot to be able to play a lot of Heroscape, when you can. Obviously, it's not everybody can play Heroscape a lot, but I'm like, I was playing with myself all the time, which is, and it's great to be able to look at a map and be like, okay, figures here, where if I got Nilfheim, if I've got Q9, if I've got whatever, what does it want to do? Where is it going to succeed?
Yeah.
And like you said, I like the phrase mini scenarios of how things are going to work out, because that's exactly what I'm running through my head. I'm
Yep.
looking at mini scenarios, and I'm looking at like just like these paths that flow across the map, because I'm looking at like, especially with melee, can melee flow across the map and be constantly attacking ranged figures, or are they going to get gummed up?
Yep. Yeah. Great points.
You had great points.
Oh well. Thanks.
But yeah, I don't know if there's, I don't know. I feel like I've said a lot. So
Yeah. I
anything
definitely
else
said a lot.
we should
Said too much. I should probably stop now before I say something stupid.
Oh please, oh please. But yeah, no. Thanks so much, Flash, for doing this map talks with me, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy our conversations. Hopefully you do as well. But
Yeah. Totally.
okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
And if that's you can just say that to my face if that's all you
Whatever, Bega.
need. But yeah, no, I seriously enjoy it. Hopefully you viewers have enjoyed this as well. I mean, like, I love talking maps with Flash because he's got so many great insights on. He's got such a knack for it that, um, yeah, you just bring so many good insights to map making, and I feel like it gets me excited about maps myself. Like, I mean, I want to go out and make a map now, personally.
Good. Do
Um,
it.
But yeah, I mean, like it's a good time, and so I think it was a good conversation. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you did as well, and hopefully the viewers enjoyed it. Before we sign off, do you have anything you'd like to say or plug or endorse or share or make fun of or ridicule or
I actually do have something today, and it's
ooh,
actually a little bit more serious than my customary ridiculousness. Um, I was thinking, I don't know. Um, sorry,
you're
I'm
good.
trying to think about how much setup I want to.
You're good. You're good.
I want to do the. Well, we'll just leave it at this. I just heard, just some bad news today. Something that had happened to a friend that made me sad, and I was just kind of feeling a little bit down. Like, man, dude, 2020 is just awful. And then, after I was thinking about what I was going to be doing later today. I remembered that I was going to be doing this with you, and just something I've always loved is, at the very end of the videos when you say, it's a glorious world that we live in, and I was just thinking about the Heroscapers community, and like, obviously, I really know very few of them actually, like in person, but I just love how much good there is in the community. I guess that would just be my invitation. Just like, I don't know, find a way to do something good for somebody. I was thinking when I got to thinking about that, I started thinking about I don't know if you remember the Utah attorney when somebody, I don't know if you made this one, when it was just an anonymous donor who just donated a ton of sealed packs,
Oh
just
yeah.
brand new in-box Heroscape.
Hmm.
And we just had floods of people show up, right?
Hmm.
And everybody's bringing their cheese armies, right? Because everybody
was
wants to win. And I'll admit, I brought a cheese army.
that was the time I brought Nilfheim.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're. That's right. So yeah, we weren't talking about that during the recording, right? We were talking about that
No, no, no. We were.
pre about the game. I brought Phantom Knights, Q10, and Stingers. And
Mhm.
you had Nilfine Greenscales and Prince Alcora or something like that.
I did refrain from
Um,
bringing Raylan, but I did bring
yeah, yeah.
Prince
So you
Justice.
were. I think that game to you was my only loss of the day. And you did you go undefeated? Did you win that
Um,
tournament?
no, I no. Okay, okay. So Steve, other Steve, not you, Steve. Would
Yeah.
totally agree. I totally botched a game that I should have won in the finals, and it was Nilfheim Greenskills into Fire Elementals on a swamp map with lots of swamp
Oh,
water. I should not have lost that
right.
game, but I really screwed up because I thought I had it in the bag, and so I proceeded to not have it in the bag. It was not good. It was an ugly game.
Well, you're probably being too rough on yourself because
Oh no, I'm not.
the Duke, the Duke is he is such a good
Oh yeah,
player. I
he is
wish he
excellent.
would play in the online scene because I think he would dominate. But
Hmm.
anyway, but where I was going with this whole big long story, and I'm sorry it's gotten so long, you should probably like speed up my voice. So I'm talking at like 2 times speed or something when you actually edit this video. But that person that just donated all that Heroscape stuff, I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was like, dude, there is good in the world, and there are people doing good things, and in the Heroscapers community. And I was remembering my units that I won. I won Iskra and the Wretchets and Marku. And I still remember that when I play with those units. Like, I still remember, dude, somebody was out of the generosity of their heart just, you know, sent this to people they'd probably never met before and said, here, I hope you get some enjoyment out of this. And I have gotten a lot of enjoyment out of those figures. So there is good in the world. Just be the good in the world, see the good in the world, because it is a glorious world.
Yo, that's an excellent Thank you so much for sharing that.
I feel like I got a little too preachy there, so you can cut that out if you want to.
No, you're good. I'm keeping all of it. It's great. I mean, and I'm really glad you brought that up because it is a glorious world that we live in, and I mean, I say that for fun, but also, it's also, mildly serious in that. Like, I do think that there is good in the world, and um, gotta look for it. I mean, I still got my
Yeah,
sealed product from that tournament, and I I haven't opened it, which is, I don't know, maybe a little embarrassing because it was meant to be played with, but I'm also kind of maybe, I don't know, saving it for somebody else. We'll see. Um,
oh, gotcha.
but yeah, I mean, like, it was an awesome event, and like, huge thanks to the person who shared that with us. I think they wanted to remain
Yeah,
anonymous, and so I won't say who it was, but it was a very, very welcome donation and incredible.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, um, with that, on that awesome note, I won't taint it by going on too much further than that. But thank you again, Flash, for joining us, for letting us play on your map, which I have called "Where the Streets Have No Name." And thank you, viewers, for
Dude, I
enjoying
love it.
this video. Hopefully you're enjoying this video. Remember always what a glorious world it is that we live in. And this will be 10 points under and out.